Alright guys, so I'm now finally getting into my CD collection, at least my standard CD collection I should say. I don't know why, I've just been really excited to do this. Kind of feel like CDs are kind of becoming the new vinyl, like, you know, the new niche thing that not that many people get. But I really like CDs. They're cheaper, you can play them in your car. They're just fun. So I'm going to use the same format as I did for my vinyl videos. I'm going to grab 10 at a time. I'm going to aim to go for about 10 minutes, whatever I'm on. After 10 minutes, I'm just going to wrap it up. And ideally have that be over in less than 15 minutes. But I feel like I should be able to get through CDs faster than vinyl for the most part. So I might have to, you know, start grabbing more. But we'll just see how that goes. All right, so get things situated. First off, from AFI, we have Black Cells in the Sunset. AFI, in their early days, they had a pretty strong era. Not so much now, but of the albums I have, this I think might be my favorite. So, take a look at all that. Insert out for you, lyrics, got a big thank you list and a picture of the band. I feel like a lot of albums don't really do the whole thank you list thing. Like, I don't really know whatever happened to that, but yeah, I feel like that's not really something you see in albums these days. Also from AFI, another really solid album from them, The Art of Drowning. Disc, kind of the logo behind the disc, a little hard to see though. These might actually take me a little bit longer because I tend to have a lot of trouble pulling the booklets out of these, so it might take me a little bit longer than a vinyl record actually, but I'll show you the little lyric and art insert. I mean, that's just in general why I like physical copies, because, you know, I like to be able to have all of the art with it. Let's see. This one, yeah, it does have the thank you list in there. I don't know why I felt the need to double check that. Alright, next up we have the self-titled Anti-Mask album. So Anti-Mask, yeah, Anti-Mask, sorry. For some reason the name just kind of slipped my mind for a minute, but yeah, this was a kind of one-off project, I guess, from Cedric Bixer Zavala and Omar Rodriguez Lopez. They've been a bunch of bands together. My understanding is the reason why this album happened was mainly because they weren't able to get At the Drive-In to do a reunion. They were in At the Drive-In and Mars Volta. Those are like their two main bands they're known for, but they weren't able to get At the Drive-In back together, and this was kind of their consolidation band that they threw together. And it's a pretty solid album. It's a lot more stripped down than their other stuff. I feel like Omar's guitar really shines on this album, because most of their bands have two guitarists. This time it's just Omar, and they didn't do a lot of what I call cheating, which is, you know, doing more than like what the band's actually capable of in the studio, you know, making songs they can't really perform live the way they did in the studio. They don't do that a lot. There's at least one song that I noticed they definitely double track the guitars, but for the most part it's just one guitar, and it's really fucking solid. So there's the track listing. Okay, fold CD, just a blank background behind it, and we do have a booklet, lyrics, all that good stuff. All right, next up from the Aquabats we have Charge. This is the only album I have from the Aquabats. From what I've heard, I think a lot of people were disappointed by this one because of kind of a genre change. They used to be more of a ska band. Now they're kind of a bit more of a synthesizer pop punk type band. But I really enjoyed this album. Like I said, I've listened to a little bit of their older stuff, but for the most part, this is really the only album that I've listened to from them. So I think there were some fun inserts. We got a couple trading cards. So I think early releases of the album all came with a couple trading cards. And if you want to, you can try to collect them all. I feel like there was maybe something else in here, but maybe not. I guess I just imagined it. Well, we have this big sort of diorama, I guess you'd call it, of the band, and you know, kind of a description of it, because they're kind of a superhero concept band, so that's kind of that sort of cheesy thing going on with them. Get those back in. I don't know if anybody else is a fan of the whole like printed disc art thing. I rather like this one though. So, back basically the same as the disc. I don't know. I just like this picture for some reason. Next up, we have the first solo album from David Bazan. This is basically his way of saying that he's not a Christian anymore. It made a lot of attention, I'd say. Of the two David Bazan albums that I have, I'd say this one's kind of the weaker. It's kind of acoustic heavy. I do rather like how they did the packaging for this though. Got all the lyrics in there. I mean, it's a pretty decent album. Just not really my favorite from really any of him, because he's been in a bunch of projects like Pedro the Lion, and I really like the Headphones, but we'll get to Headphones later because I do have a Headphones album I'll be showing you. Now, of his solo albums, this is probably my personal favorite. We got Strange Negotiations, a little bit more of a rock and roll album. Do rather like the weird artwork of fully clothed old man, naked lady, although you can't really see a whole lot of her, but you can tell it's a young naked lady. We got what I call the poster style insert, although all it has is lyrics. And I'm guessing this is some sort of crowd-funded album. I didn't participate or know about it, but you know, I just now kind of noticed this side of it, but you know, listed as executive producers. And that's what a lot of crowd-funded albums do, is, you know, credit everybody that helped fund it as executive producers and put their names in the albums. I've done it a few times. I just didn't do it or know about it for this one. Here's a picture, or here's the disc. And probably the last album I'll be showing for here, this is kind of falling apart, but my only Beatles album is the White Album. To be honest, I feel like the Beatles are a little bit overrated, but the White Album is pretty decent. I mean, I wouldn't mind getting more Beatles, but like, I'm not a huge die-hard Beatles fan. I'm not in a big rush to get any more from them. I mean, I probably will, and I wouldn't mind getting more from the Beatles, but that's their pictures. Look from the back of it. This did have a pretty decent amount of stuff in it, so we have a booklet, lyrics and stuff. One thing that I do find fascinating, I don't think this has like detailed credits song by song, but I do rather like looking up the detailed credits specifically of this album, mainly because the Beatles are kind of in shambles at this time. They're kind of borderline breaking up. I think they did put out a few more albums like this, but you know, a lot of the members weren't really getting along with each other, and some people call this kind of more of a this kind of a essay on it, but some people call this more of a collection of Beatles solo songs than a full Beatles album. But yeah, either way, for the most part, none of the Beatles like collectively are featured on all the songs. Like usually at least one of them are absent for the recording. And then of course it's a double album. There's the disc. And lastly, we have this poster that, once again, features all the lyrics that were just in that book. But here's the front side of the poster. So yeah, that's all that I'm going to be showing for today. Funny, I was expecting to be able to get through CDs a lot faster, but I only went through, what, looks like 7 albums. But yeah, and I still got, you know, plenty more. These are just 3 that I grabbed, of course, but I probably have around 200 or so more that I'll be showing you. So I'll show you when I get there.